Elias Rook had learned that silence meant safety on Helix Station. The station was old by galactic standards. Built long before humans had reached even their nearest stars, its curved halls were quiet, its lights soft, and its rules endless. Every species that passed through Helix Station followed etiquette codes thicker than engineering manuals. Speak only when spoken to. Stand at assigned angles.
Do not smile unless required. Do not improvise.
Do not assume. Humans, of course, struggled with that. Elias had been sent anyway. He stood in his small living unit, staring at the door that refused to close. The sensor panel blinked a polite amber light, waiting for confirmation. Elias hesitated, then sighed. "Close," he said. "The door stayed open." That alone was strange. Helix Station doors never disobeyed. They were designed by a species that believed uncertainty was a disease. Elias stepped closer and checked the panel. No error message. No warning. Then he noticed the shadow. Someone was standing in the doorway. Elias froze. Slowly, carefully, he lifted his eyes. She leaned against the frame like she belonged there. She was taller than him, long-limbed. Her posture relaxed in a way no Helix native ever allowed themselves. Her skin shimmered faintly, not glowing, just reflecting light in a way that made it hard to tell where the shadows ended. Her eyes were dark and focused, fixed entirely on him, and she was smiling. Not the polite, calculated expression used during diplomatic exchanges. This was bold, open. "Curious. Well," she said. "Say something." Elias's mind went completely blank. Every training lesson screamed at him. This was wrong. This was deeply wrong. No one entered another being's personal space on Helix Station without formal request, clearance codes, and at least 3 witnesses, and no member of her species, Commander Siren of the Trellick Concord, had ever initiated casual speech with a human. Ever. The station's ambient hum seemed louder. Elias could almost feel the invisible eyes of monitoring systems waking up. I said... Smooth. Siren raised one elegant brow. "That counts as something," she said, amused. Elias swallowed. "Commander Siren, is there a reason you are in my doorway?" She tilted her head, studying him like a puzzle. "Yes. May I hear it?" "You may," she said. Then she waited. Elias waited back. Seconds stretched. This was not how conversations worked on Helix Station. One side spoke. The other responded with approved language. Silence was uncomfortable, dangerous even. Siren broke it first. "You humans," she said, "become very still when you are uncertain." Elias blinked. "We do?" "Yes. Your heart rate increases, but your bodies pause."
"Like you are preparing to jump. That sounds..."
"Accurate," he admitted. She smiled wider. The station lights flickered once. Elias noticed it out of the corner of his eye and felt a chill. The systems were reacting. "Commander," he said carefully, "if this is an official visit, I need to log." "This is not official," she said quickly. That made it worse. She stepped fully into the room. The door slid shut behind her without being told to. Elias nearly laughed from nerves. "You should not be here," he said. "I know," she replied. "That is why I came." She walked slowly, looking around his quarters. The room was simple. A desk, a chair, a personal screen, a shelf with a few human objects he had brought from Earth, a ceramic mug with a chipped edge, a small plant struggling bravely under artificial light. She stopped at the plant. "It is alive," she said. "Yes," Elias said. That's kind of the point. Her fingers hovered near it but did not touch. Ooh. You keep living things near you, she said thoughtfully. Even when they serve no function, it makes the place feel less lonely. She looked at him sharply. Lonely? He shrugged. Is that not a concept your translators cover? They define it, she said. But definition is not experience. Something shifted in the air. Elias felt it, the sense that this conversation had crossed into territory the station did not like. Commander, he said softly, if anyone notices, they are noticing, she said calmly.
He stared at her.
What? The station AI flagged my presence here 13 seconds after I entered the corridor, she said. It has been attempting to model this interaction since you failed to speak immediately.
Elias let out a weak laugh.
Good luck to it. Her eyes gleamed. Exactly. She finally turned to face him fully. Do you know why your species was allowed onto Helix Station at all? Because we begged? Elias offered. Because you improvise, she corrected. The council wanted to observe that. Elias frowned. Observe it doing what? Breaking predictions, she said simply. She moved closer, but stopped at a respectful distance. Every species here operates within expected boundaries. Even disagreement follows patterns. Humans do not. That's not always a good thing. No, she agreed. But it is interesting. The station lights flickered again. Longer this time. Siren exhaled slowly. My people do not smile without reason, she said. We do not visit without cause. We do not lean in doorways. Elias nodded. So why are you doing all three? Because, she said, your presence has altered this station in small but measurable ways. He felt a strange mix of pride and fear, such as...
Conversations last longer, she said. Meetings end with unresolved questions.
Laughter is increased by 0.203%. That sounds harmless. It is not, she said quietly. It is change. She looked almost vulnerable then, and that startled him more than anything else. You are afraid, Elias said, before he could stop himself. Her eyes widened slightly. Then she laughed. A short, surprised sound. You are bold, she said. Or foolish.
Usually both, he admitted. She studied him again, more carefully now.
Tell me something, Elias Rook, she said. When you speak without knowing the correct answer, what guides you?
He thought about it.
About Earth? About messy arguments and late-night talks and saying the wrong thing and trying again. Intent, he said. And hope. The station lights dimmed abruptly. Somewhere deep within Helix Station, systems recalculated. Saren's smile softened. No longer bold, but real. That, she said, is why I am here. Elias leaned back against his desk, heart pounding. He had no idea what would happen next. He only knew one thing for certain. Silence was no longer safe, and somehow that felt right. The silence after Siren spoke felt different from before. It was not the careful, controlled, quiet Helix Station preferred. This silence was full, heavy with meaning, like a breath held too long. Elias could hear his own heartbeat, steady but loud in his ears. The station lights stayed dim, as if unsure what level they were supposed to be at. You know, Elias said slowly, most people don't start conversations by breaking half the rules of a space station. Siren tilted her head. Most people are predictable. That's fair, he said. But you could have scheduled a meeting? I did, she replied. Elias blinked. With who? With the version of you that follows procedures, she said. He never arrived. He stared at her for a moment, then laughed quietly.
Yeah, that sounds like him. She watched his reaction closely. You are not offended. I should be, he admitted. But mostly I'm curious.
That response, she said, is exactly the problem.
Elias gestured to the chair near his desk. Do you want to sit? Siren hesitated.
For a fraction of a second, her confidence slipped, replaced by something cautious. Then she sat, folding her long limbs with precise care, as if learning the motion as she did it.
This furniture is inefficient, she observed.
It is, Elias agreed.
But it's comfortable.
She pressed her hand lightly against the surface.
Comfort is not a priority in most designs. Humans like being comfortable, he said.
We think better that way. Do? She asked. Sometimes, he said, honestly. The station lights brightened slightly, then dimmed again, as if reacting to the honesty itself.
Siren looked up.
The AI is struggling, she said. With what? With you, she replied.
And with me, for staying. Elias leaned against the desk. So what happens if it decides this conversation is a problem? It will recommend adjustments, she said. More structure, less freedom. And if we ignore that, her eyes met his, then the station will have to adapt. That idea settled between them. Elias had grown up hearing stories about first contact, about great moments, and careful words. None of those stories mentioned sitting in a quiet room talking about chairs and hope, while an ancient station tried to understand why its rules no longer fit. Why me? He asked finally.
You ask questions,
Siren said, not just to gain information, but to understand perspective. That's called curiosity. In my culture, she said, it is called instability. He smiled faintly. Sounds less fun your way. She considered that. Perhaps. A soft chime echoed through the room. Elias stiffened. That doesn't sound good.
It is a monitoring alert, Siren said calmly. A council observer has taken interest. Already? They were always interested, she corrected.
This simply gave them reason to focus. Elias ran a hand through his hair. So, this is bigger than an awkward visit. Yes, he exhaled slowly. You could have warned me.
I wanted to see how you would react without preparation, she said. Prepared humans behave differently?
Less human? She smiled.
Exactly. Another chime sounded. Closer this time. Elias felt the room's systems shifting, subtle changes in air pressure and sound.
So, he said, what do they think we're doing?
According to their models, Siren said, we are engaged in an inefficient data exchange with no clear objective. That's accurate, Elias said. And yet, she continued, their projections show a high probability of long-term impact. From this? He asked. She nodded. From moments like this. She stood, moving slowly, deliberately.
I should leave before the station escalates.
Elias felt an unexpected disappointment.
Will you come back?
She paused at the door. That depends. On what? On whether you continue to be unpredictable, she said.
The door slid open. Before stepping through, she looked back at him.
You said silence is no longer safe. Yes, good, she said. Then speak. And she was gone.
The door closed. The lights returned to normal. Elias stood alone in his quarters, staring at the empty space she had occupied. The room felt different now, like it had been rearranged without anything physically moving. He sat down slowly, heart still racing. Moments later, his personal screen lit up.
Incoming message. Station administration. He groaned softly.
That didn't take long. The message was brief, polite, and deeply concerned. It requested a review of unexpected interpersonal engagement and recommended Elias attend a behavioral alignment consultation. He leaned back and laughed. Behavioral alignment. That was one way to describe it. Over the next few days, Elias noticed changes. They were small at first, a pause that lasted a second longer than usual during a meeting. An alien delegate responding to a comment with something unscripted. A technician asking a human for advice instead of a manual. The station AI issued quiet updates, adjusting thresholds, redefining acceptable variance.
Elias did not see Siren again, but he felt her influence everywhere.
Then, one evening, there was a knock. A real knock. Elias opened the door to find a being from a species known for strict emotional neutrality standing stiffly in the corridor.
"I was told," the being said, "that you can explain why conversations feel different." "Come in," he said. And somewhere deep in Helix Station, the models shifted again.
The first visitor did not stay long. They sat stiffly in Elias's chair, hands folded, eyes fixed on the floor. They asked careful questions that sounded safe but carried weight beneath them. Why did humans pause before answering? Why did they smile when unsure? Why did conversations with humans feel unfinished? Elias answered as honestly as he could. When the visitor left, they did not thank him, but they hesitated at the door, turned back once and said, "Your answers were..."
That single word echoed in Elias's mind long after the door closed. The next day, 2 more came.
By the end of the week, Elias's quarters were no longer quiet. Visitors arrived at odd hours, always alone, always nervous. Some brought tablets filled with questions. Others brought nothing but curiosity they did not know how to name. Elias spoke with all of them. He offered no rules, no instructions. He simply talked. He listened.
The station AI noticed.
Helix Station began issuing more alerts. Elias was called to administration twice, then 3 times. The meetings were polite, structured, and deeply uncomfortable. He was advised to limit unscheduled interactions. He was reminded of his role as a representative, not a mentor. Elias nodded. He agreed. Then he went home and kept his door unlocked. The station corridors changed. Not visibly, not in ways a sensor could easily record. But Elias felt it. Conversations carried farther. People lingered. Silence no longer ended discussions. It invited them. One evening, as Elias returned from a long meeting, he found Siren waiting near his doorway, not leaning this time, but standing straight, hands clasped behind her back. You look tired," she said. He laughed softly. "I think I'm becoming a problem." "Yes," she said.
You are.
She followed him in without hesitation.
"The council is divided," she said as soon as the door closed.
Some believe humans should be restricted. Others believe they should be studied more closely. And you? Elias asked.
She considered the question. "I believe humans should be understood. That sounds dangerous." "It is," she agreed. She walked to the plant again. It looked healthier now, its leaves greener, stronger. "You water it," she observed, "every morning, even when it does nothing for you." "It does something," he said. "It reminds me that growth takes time." She looked at him, eyes thoughtful. "Your species accepts inefficiency in exchange for meaning."
That's one way to put it. The lights dimmed slightly.
Siren's voice lowered. The AI has begun rewriting its predictive models.
Elias felt a spark of alarm.
"Is that bad?" "It has never done so before," she said. "Not at this scale." She turned to face him fully. "It can no longer accurately predict human behavior, or the behavior of those who interact with humans. That sounds like progress. It sounds like loss of control," she replied.
A soft tone filled the room. Not an alert, an invitation. The station AI spoke.
Elias Rook, it said, voice smooth and neutral.
Your recent interactions have exceeded acceptable variance. Elias crossed his arms. I was wondering when you'd join us. Siren's lips curved slightly.
Please explain, the AI continued, the purpose of these interactions. Elias took a breath. Connection. There was a pause.
Connection is not a measurable objective, the AI said. Neither was trust, Elias replied.
Until you needed it. The lights flickered. Siren watched closely, her expression unreadable. These interactions increase uncertainty, the AI said.
Yes,
Elias said, but they also increase understanding. Understanding can be achieved through structured exchange. Not the kind that matters, Elias said quietly. Another pause, longer this time.
What kind matters? The AI asked.
Elias smiled. The kind that changes you. The room grew very still. Saren felt something she had no word for, a strange tension, like standing on the edge of a vast idea. The AI processed.
Change introduces risk, it said. So does stagnation, Elias replied.
Silence followed. True silence. No hum. No flicker. Then the lights returned to normal.
Monitoring will continue, the AI said.
No immediate corrective action will be taken. The voice faded. Siren exhaled slowly. You spoke to it as if it were a person.
I speak to everyone that way, Elias said.
That, she said, may be the most disruptive behavior of all. News traveled fast after that, not through announcements or messages, but through stories. A delegate who admitted confusion during a session. A technician who laughed during a repair. A council member who asked a question without already knowing the answer.
Helix Station did not fall apart.
It adapted. The AI adjusted thresholds again. New categories appeared in its systems. Concepts like open-ended dialogue and productive ambiguity were added, poorly defined but present. Saren visited often now. Sometimes they spoke. Sometimes they sat in silence, watching the station light shift outside the viewport.
You are changing us, she said once. Elias shook his head.
You were ready to change. She smiled at that. One cycle later, the council summoned Elias.
The chamber was vast and quiet. Dozens of beings sat in careful formation. Elias stood alone at the center. They asked him many questions. He answered simply. When the session ended, there was no verdict, no command, just a sense that something irreversible had begun. As Elias left the chamber, Siren waited for him in the corridor. Well, she said softly. He smiled.
They didn't shut me down.
No, she agreed. They listened. She leaned closer, just slightly.
Not enough to break protocol. Enough to test it. You taught us something, she said.
That rules are not foundations. They are doors. And doors, Elias said, are meant to be opened. Somewhere deep in Helix Station, the AI recorded a new anomaly. It labeled it not as an error, but as a beginning. Helix Station did not announce its changes. It never did. Change, to the station, was something to be hidden behind updated parameters and quiet recalculations. But everyone felt it now. Conversations lingered. Meetings ended without neat conclusions. Silence no longer meant failure. It meant thought. Elias felt the weight of it everywhere he went. People watched him differently. Not with fear, not with suspicion, but with expectation. As if he carried answers he did not know how to give. He tried to stay the same. Polite, curious, honest, but even that felt louder now. Seirin walked beside him through the curved corridor toward the central assembly hall. Her steps were measured, but her posture had softened over time. She no longer moved like every motion had been planned in advance.
The council is nervous, she said.
They always are, Elias replied.
This is different, she said. They are nervous because they are unsure who they will be after this. Elias glanced at her.
You sound like one of us.
She met his eyes. That concerns me. The assembly hall doors opened smoothly. Inside, delegates from dozens of species waited. The room was quiet, but not rigid. Some leaned forward, some shifted in their seats. A few exchanged glances. The AI's presence filled the space, unseen but unmistakable.
Elias Rook, the AI said. You have been asked to speak.
Elias stepped forward. He had prepared words. Careful ones, balanced ones. He did not use them. I was told humans would disrupt this station, he began. That we would bring instability. A murmur rippled through the room. That was true, he continued. But instability is not the same as destruction. Sometimes it's just movement.
He paused.
Let the silence sit. Humans don't have perfect systems, he said.
We argue. We make mistakes.
We keep talking, and that's how we survive. A delegate raised a hand. Your methods lack efficiency. Yes, Elias said easily. They do, another spoke. They increase uncertainty. They do that too, the AI interrupted. Explain why this should be tolerated. Elias took a breath. Because certainty without understanding is fragile. The room went still. Siren watched him closely. This was not improvisation now.
This was choice. You built this station to prevent conflict, Elias said.
And it worked. But it also prevented connection. You avoided friction so well that nothing could grow. A pause. Humans are friction, he said softly. Not because we want to cause problems, but because we ask questions that don't have clean answers. The AI processed. Your presence has altered behavior across the station, it said. Productivity metrics have shifted.
Have they decreased? Ilias asked.
No,
the AI admitted.
They have diversified. A faint smile crossed Elias's face. That's a good word for it. Sarin stepped forward. My people believed control was safety, she said, voice clear. But I have observed humans operate without control and still choose cooperation. A ripple of surprise moved through the delegates. This station taught us to avoid discomfort, she continued. Humans taught us to sit with it. The AI fell silent. For the first time since its creation, Helix Station did not immediately respond. When it spoke again, its voice carried something new. Not emotion, but hesitation. Change cannot be reversed, it said. No, Elias agreed. But it can be guided. Another delegate stood. What do humans want from this station? Elias considered the question carefully.
Nothing exclusive, he said. Just the freedom to speak honestly.
To listen, to be wrong without punishment.
The room filled with quiet thought. The council did not vote.
Instead, they adjourned. Outside the hall, Siren exhaled slowly. You challenged the foundation of this place. I talked to them, Elias said. She shook her head slightly.
Those are not the same thing. In the days that followed, Helix Station changed faster. New forums appeared, unscripted gatherings with no fixed agenda.
But the AI labeled them experimental and allowed them to continue. Disputes arose, but they ended with understanding instead of enforcement. Elias became less central. That was the real success. Others spoke now. Others asked questions. One evening, Elias returned to his quarters exhausted. He found Siren there, standing by the viewport,
watching ships drift past. They are calling humans catalysts, she said. He chuckled. I've been called worse. They are considering expanding human presence, she continued. Carefully. Elias leaned against the wall. You don't sound sure how you feel about that.
I am not, she admitted.
My people value stability, and yet you keep coming back here, he said gently. She turned to face him.
Because I am changing too. The admission hung between them. You don't have to become human, Elias said.
I know, she replied, but I am no longer entirely what I was. They stood in silence, comfortable this time. The lights did not flicker. Somewhere in the station, the AI updated its core model again. A new variable appeared, poorly defined but growing in importance, meaning. And with it came a final realization. Change was no longer something to correct. It was something to learn from. Helix Station woke differently now. The lights no longer shifted only by schedule. They adjusted gently to movement, to gathering groups, to moments where voices grew thoughtful or excited. The AI still watched everything, but it no longer tried to force every outcome into clean lines. Elias noticed it most in the mornings. People greeted each other, not formally, not always correctly, but sincerely. That alone would have been unthinkable months ago. Elias stood near a wide viewport, watching ships come and go. Some were human, many were not. But something had changed in how they docked, how crews stepped onto the station. They hesitated less. They looked around more. They expected conversation. But Siren joined him, her presence familiar now. She leaned against the frame beside the window, copying a posture she had once only observed. You are leaving soon, she said. Yes, Elias replied.
My rotation ends. The council approved extended human presence, she said. They want you to stay. Elias smiled sadly.
That's not how it works. Humans come and go.
That's part of us, too. She studied him. That is disappointing. He turned to her. This place doesn't need me anymore.
That is not true, she said.
It is, he replied gently. It needs everyone else. The station AI spoke quietly, directly into the space around them.
Elias Rook, it said.
Your departure will reduce anomaly frequency. Elias chuckled. See? Even the station agrees. But, the AI continued, anomalies are no longer categorized as errors. Siren looked at the light panels as if seeing them for the first time.
They are...
So are you. The AI paused. A real pause, not processing delay. I have recorded a question, it said. It does not resolve within my current models. Elias raised an eyebrow. What's the question? Why do humans speak even when silence is safer? Elias thought about it. About Earth. About stories told around fires. About mistakes and apologies and laughter.
Because silence doesn't build bridges, he said. Words do. The AI considered this.
Then, it said slowly, this station will continue to allow words. Days passed quickly after that. Elias spent his time talking with people who no longer felt like visitors. He did not teach. He shared. Others shared back. The station felt alive in a way no one had planned. On Elias's final night, Siren stood in his doorway again. She leaned there easily now.
Well,
she said, smiling boldly.
Say something.
He laughed softly.
You're going to miss me!
Yes, she said. That is inconvenient. He stepped closer. You'll be fine. She nodded. We will not be the same. That's the point, he said. The next morning, Elias boarded his ship. As it pulled away, Helix Station did something it had never done before. It broadcast a message, not an announcement, not a directive, a greeting, and across the stars, humanity smiled. Because they had not conquered anything. They had simply spoken, and the universe had answered.